In this video, we're going to have a look at Brizy, which is claims to be the next-gen website builder that anyone can use. And it boasts this very intuitive, easy-to-use point-and-click editing system, some global color management, and pretty much everything you need to be able to edit your own website. So we start here with this WordPress default theme. And to get started then, what I've done is I've already installed the Brizy and the Brizy Pro plugin. So these are plugins, not themes. We then just head over to Brizy to get started, and we look down at the starter templates. With the starter template selected, you'll see you'll be presented with a host of templates that you can use on your website, focusing on different industries, using different layout ideas. The free versions are generally one page, while the pro versions generally include several pages for your website. So we're going to look at a pro version, and we're going to look at something in business. So we've entered business to do a filter. We've now selected or going to select one of the templates. This one looks good, so we'll select that template and click on the install button. You have two choices. You can keep existing content or you can delete existing content. Because it's a new website, I'm just going with the delete content. So it's a completely clean install and will only contain the Brizy elements. With that done, all we need to do now is head over to the website, refresh the web page, and we'll see the new theme installed. The new theme installed. Let's have a look at some of the pages. So here we are on the home page, and you'll see you have a pretty nice selection of different content elements that you can then just edit with your company details. And we'll have a look at some of the editing features in more detail now. We're going to have a look at the next page, and on the services page, you will see that you have some nice content elements again that you can then just edit to add your services. The next item we look at will be the work, and in work, once again, you have elements that you can go in and edit. Of course, there are options to add your own content, and we'll have a look at that as well. Then we look at the About Us page. So if you're not sure where to start with an About Us page, what's great here is it gives you the opportunity now to answer the questions and to complete the content that's already available and maybe make your own update. So it's a great way to get started. And the last page we're going to look at is the contact page. It has a contact form, it has a map, and of course, your contact information. We're now going to have a look at some of the editing options available. So we're on the home page, and we're going to click on the Edit with Brizy in the top menu bar. And you'll see now that the page refreshes and the Brizy editor is available, and pretty quickly. And you'll see that as you move your mouse, this little blue key line appears where you can literally just click and start editing. So here what we're going to do is have a look at changing the text. Selected the text, and we'll delete that text, and we're going to add some more text. We get things done, and what we want to do is just change the color of the word things. Select the word things, head over to the color selection, select the color we want to use, and we're done. So that's how easy it is to add text and change the color. Now we're going to head down and have a look at changing this title. So once again, we just select the title and start typing, and you'll see that we can then enter our own content. And also, if we want to change some of the formatting of individual words, we can select them, we can capitalize, we can make them bold, and of course, we can then just select a different color and add color to that word. So that's how easy it is to edit text. Let's look at an icon. Here we are looking at an icon. We select the icon. We can change the icon to whatever we want, and the icon is changed. We can go further then and not only change the color, but we can also change the hover effect. So if you want to change the color of the icon, simply select the new color. Once that's done, you might want to look at a hover effect. So select the hover icon selector, change the color, and you're pretty much done with your icon hover effect. And you'll see now, even while I'm in the editor, then I can test and see if that's what I want. Let's have a look at this button. Maybe on this button, instead of just using it as a button to link to a page on the website, or maybe a selector from these dynamic elements, you might want to add a pop-up. So you simply select the pop-up option, You'll now be given a few options that you can use for the pop-up. Some contain forms, some contain slideshows, and in this case we're going to choose a pop-up then that just focuses on a product. So if you wanted to feature a product, select the pop-up, then select the thumbnail image, the content loads, and you can go in now and edit the content as you would pretty much edit any other content on the website. So that's how easy it is to add a pop-up to pretty much any element. Then we'll scroll down, and here we have this nice banner across the page, and maybe what we want to do is turn it into a slider. Not a problem. We choose the selector and convert to slideshow. So now we have a slider, and we can go in and edit the slider as you would any other content element. So what I'll do then on the second slide is we're going to add a different image. There we go, we've added a different image, and what's also nice now is using that blue dot in the image selector, we can adjust what part of the image is visible, and that'll work differently for more horizontal or vertical images. We're then going to have a look at changing the background. We'll use the same image though, but this time as a background image, and you'll see now that when I adjust the blue button I can change the vertical alignment. We'll get the image position where we want it, and maybe we'll change some of the content, maybe a different icon. So quite easily go in, make a selection, and the icon is changed. We might also want to have a look at changing some colors. So this is where we can then also change the color of the icon. We can also change the background color, and you'll see that it even has a border around the edge. So you can do quite a lot with the icons when it comes to formatting and having them look good for your website. If we change the title texture, the step 1, if we edited that and made it a longer word, you'll see that the planning and strategy don't fit. Not a problem. Head over to the text size, drop down the size until it fits, and we've then preserved that layout. We're going to have a look now at some image options available to you. So we'll have a look at the first image option here, and you'll see we're going to add a border. And you'll see it's really simple. We simply select border in the sub menu when we select color, and we can change the border size. On the next image, we're going to add a drop shadow. So we head over to shadow, and here you can see you can change the amount of blur. You're also able to change the position of the blur, and you'll see here that we can move it up and we can move it down. So you have you can change the color of the blur, the intensity, the spread, and you can then adjust it pretty much any way that you want to get it to fit the way that you would like it. And you can see how the blur and the drop shadow moves as you make the changes live. There we're changing the color. So there's no guesswork. You can see exactly what you're doing. In the next image, what we're going to do is, instead of changing color, what we're going to do is apply a filter to the image. And in this case, we're going to make it black and white. So we've dropped it down to black and white. And then by changing the contrast and brightness, we're actually able to remove the darker shading. And so it looks as though this image doesn't have a border, or is not in a circular shape as the others. So that's just what you can do with some quick image manipulation. Once we're done, what we'll do then is scroll back to the top of the page. We'll then update, and now we can hit this button to do a preview. The preview will load, and now we can have a look and see how the changes have taken effect. So we're in the preview mode, and you'll see that the word things is a different color. If we look at the next title, you'll see that has remained. The pop-up is in play. Then we have our slider, and you'll see that the slider, all the changes are still in place, and then our images, all the changes being made with the images. So that's how easy it is then to manipulate and update the content on the web page. We're now going to have a look at how to edit the logo. The logo is a global element. So we're going to head back to where we had Brizy open, and you'll see the icon on the right hand side has a little globe attached to it, and that means that wherever this element has been applied, if I change it here, it's going to apply everywhere. as this is the header of the website, it'll change then across the website. I'm going to go in and choose this logo, which is a completely different shape to the previous one. You'll see that it no longer now fits in that square block, so we need to make some changes to make it fit. So I'm going to hit the globe icon, and you'll see now that I've been able to get the shape back, but it's still not big enough to read. And what we can do now is just adjust the column width. And as we adjust the column width, the logo adjusts in size, and we're happy with that size. Then we can update, save that essentially. And if we go to the website now and navigate to a different page, so we're going to go and have a look at the contact page, the get in touch page, you'll see that the logo has been applied and the changes are set. So that's how easy it is then to update the logo for the website. We're now going to apply the same technique to the footer. So we're going to change the logo in the footer to the same as the logo in the header. We've selected the old logo, we've removed it. And now what we're going to do is go and select the logo that we'd like to use, and it'll be the same as the one in the header. And now we have the issue where we can select the image and we can manipulate the image, but it's very difficult to see the image because it's basically a black image on a black background. So what we're going to do now is change that color so we can see what we're working with. And to do that, we're going to select the background color for that section, for that column, and we're just going to move that color a little bit lighter, and now we can see the logo clearer. And then on the logo, we're just going to remove that bit of background gray. So now we have the logo appearing in the footer. We can even add a bit of a border around that block if we want to. Might just help to make it look a little bit clearer. And of course, this is a global element, as you can see on the right hand side, that little globe. So whatever changes we make here are going to be applied to the footer, or wherever this footer is applied anywhere on the website. So just some final changes. All right, and we're pretty much done. Once we're done, then we can update this content, and we can have a look and see what this looks like on the website. So we're on the website. We'll refresh the page to have those changes take effect, and we'll have a look then and see if they've been applied. So the page refreshed, we'll scroll down, and you'll see now that the company logo stands out very nicely in the footer all across the website. So that's how easy it is then to update the global elements on the website. What we're going to have a look at now is some global colors. So you'll see how we have this little color palette, and you'll notice now that as I change the color, wherever that color has been applied on the website, the color is updated. So if you install this template and you want to make the changes to your corporate identity, it's not a problem. You can simply select the colors in the global palette, and wherever those color palettes are used, you will see that those colors will be updated to whatever changes we make in that section. And there's really no limit to what you can do in terms of selecting a color. Right, so that looks pretty close to what it was originally. If you are working in the space, you might want to take note of the original color, just in case. The other thing now that we're going to have a look at then is if we have a look at the text. So here we have the text selector, and maybe you want to make some changes to the text. So once again, here in this global palette, you can come in, select any one of the various headings, for example. There we selected the H1, and you'll see that as I click, wherever the H1 heading is applied, the changes take effect. So there we have the heading 3. So I'll head over to heading number 3, and whatever changes I make, you'll see that heading number 3 is now affected. So very easy then to update all the fonts on the website to the font that you would like to use for your corporate identity or as you prefer. You can also add more Google fonts to the list. So once you've selected the Google font, you can go in, you can do a search, or just select the font you'd like to use. Once you're done, quite easy to apply then. We'll head back to the global styles, and now you'll see right at the top is the name of that new font that we just selected. The new font is then going to be applied wherever we would like to apply. So you can apply globally, or you can also apply after selecting an individual text item. Right, so those changes are complete. We've had a look at how to add a font. What you might want to do is move some of the content up or down in the listing. So as you can see, those are the content blocks on the page. And if you want to change the order of any content, you can just move it up and down here in this layout view or the selector view, and you've updated the page immediately. So that's how easy it is then to move elements on the page around, and it gives you a nice overview so you know exactly where you've now placed the new element. Let's update that. And if we head over to the home page now, you'll see that those changes have taken effect. You can see the slight color difference. Right, now we're going to have a look at the services page, and we're going to make some changes to the content. So Brizy loading up. Right, Brizy loaded. Now what we're going to have a look at doing is editing or adding some custom content. So we hit the plus button, and you'll see that there are a host of options available to you when it comes to adding a pre-made content element. You can simply select, add to the page, and then just edit what you need to edit. On the left-hand side of the vast amount of options, you will see that you have a filtering system, and you can quite easily then narrow it down to the kind of content element that you're looking for. And you can see there are a wide range of choices available to you. We're going to have a look at a content element and then just apply some edits. Right, the element selected, we're going to load that up on the page, and immediately after it's loaded, I don't want the teacup. So what I'm going to do then is edit that column information, head over to the background, and once again, you can see how moving the blue dot moves the image. We're going to remove that and go for something that's more in keeping, perhaps that image with those colors. And now we'll just position that in the correct place. So we have the mug positioned very nicely in that content space. We'll add a new image, but this time what we're going to do is click on the create your own. So now you have this blank content element section that you can do with as you wish. First thing we're going to do is head over and select the background image, and we're going to go for something that's not too detailed, so perhaps the building. Once the building is loaded, maybe what we want to do is give it a bit of an overlay because it's looking rather bright. If we were to add text, it'd be hard to read. So we're going to add a color now. And of course, we don't want the color to be too strong. So we're going to make it we'll adjust the transparency. And that will allow us to add text on top of that image and still read what has been added. Now to add, you can add individual elements, and there are a host of individual elements from text to buttons to columns to galleries to images to video to maps. And then there are even more elements further down the page, some social images. And what we're going to do now is just add some text, and we're going to change the layout around a bit. So here we go. You just basically drag and drop it then on the space where you'd like it to go. And that's how you add the element to the page. Now we can go in on the text, for example, and start editing. We can change the color as we did before. We can edit the text. What we're going to do now, at the moment, we basically have two text elements. So you'll see I just duplicated the top one, and then I can change it from being a heading to being a paragraph. And you'll see nothing terribly exciting at the moment. So after changing a couple of elements on the text, what we're going to do then is add a new element to that space. And the element that we're going to add will be the column. So right at the top, I just type in col. The columns element comes up, and you'll see that as I move it, there's that gray bar that tells me where it will be dropped. And you'll see the same thing applies now when I select an element to move. You'll also see that there's a little gray bar that tells me where it's going to be dropped. And when you're over an element, you would have seen the little blue dot to show where it will be dropped. Now what we're doing is we're just formatting the left-hand side, we're changing the background color, and here on the right-hand side, in the right-hand column, we're going to do something similar. So we've changed the color. We might also want to change the position of the text. So I'm just making sure that it's centrally aligned in relation to the object on the left, and the left-hand object is aligned perhaps in a similar way. Right, so we made those basic changes. Now what we're going to do is add a new element, and this time we're going to add a button. So we'll add the button below the text, and you'll see that the button, previously we used the button, we opened a pop-up. Now we'll have it scroll down to the testimonials at the bottom of the page. So to do that, we select the button, we head over, well, we're going to make some changes to the text first. Change the font size. Then we'll head over to the link, and now instead of linking to a page or a pop-up, what we're going to do is we're going to head over to a part of the page. And there you can see the blocks. So we'll head over to the blocks, simply select the block that you'd like to link to. So there we have the testimonials. And the nice thing is it's a visual presentation. Then we'll just update that. And then what we're going to do is quickly do a preview and just see how that works. So there are the other changes that have taken effect. And now if I click on the button, you'll see the page automatically scrolls down and you can now see the testimonials. So that was very easy to do with a very little amount of work. Now what we're going to do is make this look a little bit more interesting. So we'll add an image. So from the listing, we look for image. Then we drag it to where we'd like the image to be positioned. Now that we have the image space, we can select an image from the Media Get library. And we're going to go with a new image. Right, that's the image that we're going to go with. And once again, you'll see that we can move that image around so that we get the right portion of the image visible. Once that's done, we can move over to editing. Maybe we're going to position that text in the middle. Looks a bit odd now on the left-hand side. So what we'll do then is we will go over to the text element and just change the alignment. And that's it. The alignment's been changed. We can also change the font. We can change the font size. That's looking a little bit better. And then maybe one or two small edits. Maybe what we want to do is just play with the button sizes, have a look at what's available. Maybe change the icon so that it points in the direction that the page will scroll once you click on it. You can also change quite a few things on the button. As you change, you'll see how they take effect. And here, for example, we can also look at the shape of the button. So that has very rounded edges, or you can dial it back so it just has subtly curved edges. Right, we'll update the size of the text again, and now we're pretty much done with the button. You'll also see that you have these other options that open up on the right-hand side. If you click on the styling, and you'll see how that affects then the space around the various elements. and you can select them individually or, as we did previously, globally. So you can see how by changing these elements you can change the layout. You can either use the slider or you can punch in the numbers so that you can get a more precise measurement with the number that you want to use, and you can use both positive and negative numbers in those spaces. Right, so that's done. We can update. Just what we can also do then, one last thing to look at then would be some animation. So we're going to look then at the animation that we can add at a special effect here. And what we're going to do then is create this zoom in effect. Right, so with that done, let's update that. We'll head over to the page, we'll refresh the page, and now you'll see that as we scroll down and that content element comes into view, there you'll see that zoom effect. Of course, you can adjust the speed and reduce the delay so that when the person sees the content, it loads a lot faster. So that's pretty much then a very brief introduction into editing some or adding content elements to the page. And let's have a look at the mobile view now. So there we have the mobile view of the content and everything looks great. We haven't had to do any adjustments to the work that we've done so far to have it fit on a mobile device. So a lot of that work is done for you already when you're editing in the main editing screen. You can, of course, come in and still do some minor edits if that's what you'd like to do. Accessing the menu in the top right is a bit difficult because of the settings icon that appears on top of it. So what we're going to do is by right clicking and hitting the inspect button, we can now move the inspect to the right hand side, and then we can have a look at that mobile button, and everything there looks to be working well, and the drop down navigation also looks fine. That black bar is part of the WordPress admin, so it won't be visible on the main site. Here we are back in Brizy. You'll see the logo looks a bit small, so what we'll do is we'll adjust the size. If you want to hide an element, you can do that just by clicking on the eye. Then whatever view you're in, it'll be hidden in that view only. Here we are adjusting the size of the logo, and you'll see that by adjusting the size of the logo, we've also moved the navigation down one row. So we'd like to get the logo as big as possible, and then we'd also like to get the navigation back on the page. So we're just moving the spacing around so that we can get everything working together and making some final adjustments. Change the zoom effect. Right, now we've got the whole logo on the screen, and what we'd like to do is get the navigation back in full view. So I think the logo size is about done. Now we need to get the navigation back to the top row, but to do that, what we're going to do is just change the width of the navigation row, and to do that we just drag that right hand icon or bar indicator for the menu like we do there for the logo. We're going to do the same thing now for the navigation. So move the navigation down and then open up the logo size. So there we have the logo at a decent size now on mobile as well as on the desktop view. And the changes that we make for mobile will not be affected. The desktop view still looks the same. What we're going to do now is head over to the Get in Touch page, and we're going to make some adjustments to the form. So you'll see here that we have this form, and then also we have this map, and maybe we want to change the location of the map. So to do that, we're going to do that in Brizy. So I'm just going to close the other page. We've opened up Brizy on this page, and now we can affect the changes. So we'll scroll down to the map, and you'll see that it's a background element, and the background at the moment says Wall Street. All we need to do is change the name. If we say London, for example, the map immediately updates and we can see the London map. So all you need to do is plug in your address there and the map will be updated, and you can have a look and see if that is in fact accurately presented and make some finer adjustments. Here we're looking at Italy. We'll go back to New York, and we can also change the zoom. There we are, zoomed in quite a lot, and we can also then go for a much more zoomed out view. So depending on the location and how you want to present it, you can of course then change the zoom to do that. So very easy to do and very interactive. We're now going to move up to the form and just have a look at what we can do with the form. So we click on the little form field, and then we have the form icon, and you'll see that we can then make some subtle changes there, and you'll see how that affects the fields on the form, and also how by changing the corners you can affect the kind of look and feel of the form fields. You also have different kinds of forms, so form fields, so you could have an email, you could make it required. There's a number format, so what kind of format? The paragraph format, where somebody can just type in some free text, and then there's also an option for a select field, and you can then also make various selections available for the person filling in the field. So we just change that back to text, and the next thing we're going to look at then is the button. So what happens when somebody submits the form? So you'll see you have an option here to go with the WordPress submission default. Maybe you want to submit it via Google, so that would be the Gmail option, or perhaps via your own SMTP settings. So in this case, we'll just look at what's available via WordPress, and you'll see that as you hover over the help icons, you'll see that there are some short codes that you can apply then in the fields, and they pick up different information from the form or from the website. Then you can also integrate with different services. So if you wanted to be this to be an email subscription form, you can then select the service and then enter the details. Then for reCAPTCHA, which is just to prevent some spam entries, enter your details, save, and then the field will be updated immediately with those settings. So these are just some basic ideas then for the form, and then on the button, of course, you can make some changes to make the button maybe look a little bit more interesting. And of course, the custom font that we uploaded is also available to the form. This is the styling for the whole area in which the form appears. So you might make some subtle changes there if you wanted. Perhaps then what we should also have a look at then is maybe adding some fields and different kinds of fields to the form. Maybe you don't want the default forms fields as they are. So you can either duplicate the form, or by selecting a field and then duplicating, you can then just duplicate a field and then make the changes as you need. So in this case, what we'll do is we'll change the kind of form, and we're going to go for a select. So we hit the drop down and look for select, and once you apply the select field, you'll then be able to add some select items. So we won't make that a required field, and now you can see the various options that are available to your customer or whoever's filling the form, and you just need to select, change, and if you want to add a new option, just type in the option name and hit the arrow on the right, and the new option has been added straight away. On the right hand side, maybe what we're going to do now is look at something with some bullet points. So we call that a select field. So or a check, should I say, a checkbox. And now once again, just by clicking on those items, you can edit, or by adding a new option and then clicking on the arrow to the right, the new option is added. So very nice, very easy to do. So you'll see once again, it's just a really easy point and click, and whatever content element that you're applying, wherever you click, the menu appears, and then you can make the appropriate changes. You can also show or hide the labels. So generally better looking forms don't have the labels visible. If you do need to though, the option is available to do that. You can also move your position around of your form field, and you'll see here how the label has moved up. And just by using those up and down arrows, you can move any field on the form around to where you'd like it to be. So you can really customize your form to look the way that you would like it to look. The same would apply to the paragraph or the message field. And you'll just see how that immediately changes things. So normally the message field is last on a form, just because that's where it makes more logical sense. So we've made those changes, update the page. And let's go and have a look at what those look like. So the preview loaded, there is our form exactly. There are our selections. And if we select various items, nice and clear that those items have been selected. And we scroll down, the map loads up, and there's our map with that new zoom level applied. Now that we've made some changes to the website and we're happy with the layout, or we know, kind of how Brizy works, and yes, it is very easy to use. It is a click and edit kind of system. Maybe what we'll do is just head over to the Brizy website and have a look at some of what's available. So they have various solutions depending on who you are, but it all comes down to the pricing. So let's look at the pricing. They have what they call lifetime and yearly. So if you're starting out, you might want to look at spending the $49 to get your one pro website, or if you have several sites, the 99, or an agency, the 199. There's also the lifetime deal. So as a single user for 149, you won't have to then buy again. And the same for one time an agency. They have a couple of options. If we scroll down, we can see what's included and what's not included. So the free doesn't include a lot of things. The personal includes most things. If you have a company site, you need membership functionality, role manager, or a multi-site, then you'd need to go for the $99 per year option, which is the freelancer option. So it's really up to you. You may not need some of those items if you're just doing a standard company website where you just want to let people know more about your business. But there is a lot of support with Brizy. They do have a lot of tutorials to assist. There's also a lot of information on the website about what's possible with the Brizy for WordPress. There's also some information about what's available if you're looking to start an online shop, something we didn't have a look at. But if you were going to add a shop to your website in the future, then of course Brizy will cater to that as well. So this is what's available on their website. So go along, have a look. So Brizy does what it says. It's really well worth looking into if you want a basic company site for your business. It really is a point, click, and go.